Then we're good. Let's see.
Yes, can we start recording?
Just give me a second. Yes, we can start.
It is asking for host to give permission, so maybe you can start.
And I will make you host also.
Hi everyone, welcome to Weekly Vet. Weekly Vet is our happy place to share, learn and explore. Weekly Vet occurs every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and Weekly Vet is your place to learn every Wednesday. And today we have Sudha here, who is conducting a town hall for all of us to see where we can go with our learning. Weekly Ved, we generally host speakers every Wednesday. We ask questions, we take live Q&A from the students here. So Weekly Ved is a place for the past students of Sudha to come together and keep learning, keep the learning active every week on week. And let us begin this weekly vet. We will be recording this and it's live stream. So please go off camera in case you're not comfortable. And it's time to begin. Over to Sudha.
Hi, Yash. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Sudha Jamthe. For those of my students who know me, hello, welcome back. Yash, I thought you were going to show the Gartner hype curve or some picture you had ready.
Yes, I'll show them.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about, I'm a technology futurist and I'm always chasing the latest in tech. And I'm going to tell you in a bit what we are going to do today.
So today, I want to show the hype cycles, the impact radar and the hype cycles here. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the impact radar of 2022 by Gartner, where they're talking about the different technologies that are here, and they have made it into 4 quadrants. The smart world consisting of digital twin, virtual assistants, IoT platform, multimodal UI, smart spaces, critical enablers like 6G. So we are still thinking about 5G and they're already talking about 6G. AI-generated composite application, graph technologies. And we have the security-related homomorphic encryption, digital ethics, and we have the productivity revolution. So I just wanted to show this. And then this is the hype cycle. So we see here, this is the hype cycle where they're telling about the innovation trigger, that is their metaverse is here, the peak of inflated expectations, the trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment. So it goes on like that. Here we have generative AI, code generation, machine learning, digital twin, causal AI, metaverse, cloud sustainability, digital humans. I don't know what it means. Digital humans, okay. We have the foundation models, we have the Web3. So this is the hype cycle that they are predicting. And so on, if we go ahead,
Don't go back to the past. Don't go back to the past. Just stick with this. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll share the screen or stop the share.
Let's stay on this for just a minute. So, hello everyone. So for those of you who are watching this, we are streaming this on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So I will be looking at LinkedIn, and Suresh or anybody else can also go volunteer to look there and see if there are questions or comments, and I want to answer that. But for those of you here in the Zoom room, you get the opportunity to have this town hall conversation with me. So just before we got started today, before we turned on the live stream, we were having a discussion about GPT-3 and how NLP is picked up so fast. And I had done a course on at Business School of AI. I do organize and I run some courses, and then I invite experts to teach some courses, but it's very, very selective courses. We don't have hundreds of courses, but they are very unique courses not taught anywhere. And we had one on NLP a couple years back from Sam Wigglesworth, and Yash had actually done a restream of that maybe 3-4 weeks back. And that time we were talking about chatbots, all the different tools, and how do you go build chatbots and in a business setting to go solve for real business problems. And then I believe we had Vlad Maisla, who's an expert in NLP chatbots, specifically one of my past students, who he came in and he talked to us about NLP and chatbots also in a different dimension. So one of the things we do here at Weekly Wednesday is we are all technology enthusiasts in some form, and then we work in various different roles. Most of my students are, very experienced enough people so that they're tech people who have kind of grown to a leadership role, or they are on a path towards product management. Some people migrate and move to product management from different other roles or business roles, right? And so we are interested in the latest in technology and innovation, but looking at it from a what is going to create business, how do we grow our careers with all this. So that is going to be my focus today. So Yash, you've come back to 2021, I believe. Can you go back to 2022 where we started from? No, this is 2021. What you're showing on screen is 2021. So the foundation model was close to the top in 2022. So I found that the latest that I'm tracking, it tends to be, the next top of the, what they call as the peak of inflated expectations. So I seem to be living at the peak of inflated expectations is my finding about myself. So we've been focusing on foundation models. So we did the NLP a couple years back. And I remember in my last semester, this is not the summer, the previous semester, in winter class at Stanford at the Artificial Intelligence Bootcamp for product and business managers. At the end of the class, I asked the students out of AI, because this was about AI, making it simple, saying within the three of machine learning, computer vision, and NLP, which is big, which is the fastest growing area, which has more opportunities. And it was very interesting. Students had opinions about each of this. And similarly, I teach AI ethics to 4 different master's program at Barcelona Technology School. I asked the same thing of them. And again, they had, out of these 3, they picked one, and they had the reasoning of what they were seeing. And my answer was that NLP is picking up and foundation models is where we are going to go. And there's more opportunity. I was not saying my foundation model is the biggest thing. I was saying, NLP growing towards foundation models, or NLP with all its opportunities, is the big one. And then I picked up foundation models and started, building out material about it. And then the newest project that we have, along with Yash and Susanna and Pariya Saran, is called globalsouthinai.org. That's a separate project outside of Business School of AI and everything else I do, which is about adding diversity and inclusiveness to language models. So I'm going to pause here. Let's get out of the share of the screen. Yash, thank you so much. Okay, so what I want to talk to you today is, as a technology futurist, I'm always like looking and speculating what is the latest in tech. So like we always do here, let's do this. first of all, those of you who are here, I'll appreciate if you can chat and give your name and say where you're joining from. I'm joining here from Silicon Valley, from San Jose, California. So you can say that, because I find that there is value in you knowing each other, connecting with each other. I see Damir here from Czech Republic. There are people from everywhere. So I would like you to know your fellow teammates here. Okay. So thank you for that. Thank you. So for those of you who are watching in the live stream, you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to have a discussion. So I need to know where everybody is. And we also have like a very diverse set of people. So that's very important. So I was working in technology industry for a couple decades. I'm dating myself. And my last job in tech was heading mobile analytics at eBay, which was about using data to drive business. And our internal partners were product managers. So we would look at data and help product managers make decisions on what features to add, where to place different buttons and whatnot. And then we also had growth managers who were our business partners on the other dimension, saying, hey, when you add all these product features and when you create new products and launch it into the market, how is it going to impact the revenues or growth for my region? And so we had North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific as the three big regions. And analytics got moved to report under finance. So we had to estimate for every release, like imagine an app download you do. So for every app download that was going to come from eBay, when we launch it, my team had to estimate what was going to be the growth for the company from that particular app release. And we did about 30 plus app release across iPhone, iPad, Android, and mobile web. So to cut the story short, I was focused on data and product features, but the product managers are always what they call in Silicon Valley as the CEO of the customers. They're always looking at customers. They're looking at how market trends are changing. They're looking at what competition is doing. And they represent the customers and say, we need to do this feature for customers because this will improve their experience. So they're very focused on the experience. They don't like to focus on how much money this particular click is going to cost. And as they grow in their career, they are, put on a path to go explain that, but their heart is in, the experience for the customer. So it's kind of an interesting conflict in creating growth versus the product feature. But the interesting thing that my team got out of it is we had to stay on top of the game on what was happening in the world of mobile. It's not just that, the iPhone, Android, mobile web had new features coming, fingerprinting was coming, so biometrics. There were a lot of other things. Everything seemed like mobile. We had the Apple Watch launching at that time. So we had this whole thing as there was this social, local, and mobile as three pillars we were going to focus on and add innovations in all of them. So that's how we were looking at it. So that trained me to kind of look at the latest and then think about whether it's going to be a good experience for the customer, which to make my product managers happy, but also to look at growth. So after that, I left eBay to go write my IoT book. And that was, I think, 2015 or 2015. And IoT was top of the Gartner hype curve. And I knew about Gartner hype curve. And that whole curve says that technology is hyped up, and there are different technologies that keep climbing up on that, and they are at the top of the hype. And then some of them fall off. Then people get disillusioned saying, hey, they were talking about this IoT as a big thing. What happened? Who made money? Where are the startups? What's the big company that came out of it? What's the big value that's come out of it? There's a trough of disillusionment. And then some of them pick up, some of them just drop off. And then we don't hear about them for a while. Maybe if it has value, it'll come back some years later. And otherwise, it will take a longer time, and then it gets to productivity. So where the curve flattens out in the hype curve is that. So I was aware of it as a business person, but I didn't go track what was the latest. And then that year, when I was out to write my first book on IoT, IoT was the big thing, and Cisco and Intel and everybody called themselves an IoT company. Cisco came with this thing called Internet of Everything. So after that, I started teaching IoT course at Stanford, IoT business course at Stanford Continuing Studies. And I found that because this was my thinking, and I'm going to tell you the story because I think each of us have a narrative from where we sit, where our experience is. So I thought I come from a data background, and I have come from a product management background. So I just thought I was thinking about IoT from a product management lens. How do you productize it? How do you build connected products? And second thing is, I was thinking about, hey, this is all producing data from all the sensors. What do you do with this data? And it leads to AI. And so I was kind of gravitating towards that. So I changed my course to focus more on AI from IoT and started focusing on product management. I always did focus on product management in all my classes. So it was about building connected products, but what about the AI in it? So my subsequent books on IoT, so I did IoT Disruption as the first book, then I did IoT Disruption 2020, which was a prediction about 2020. And then I did this, it was focused on AI, the IoT Disruptions 2020 was fully focused on AI from IoT. And then I started chasing autonomous vehicles, and I switched to that, saying this is an IoT, it is a connected vehicle. And so I want to pause there. At the point when I started talking about autonomous vehicles, so when I started talking about AI in IoT, machine learning got to the top of the hype curve. When I started talking about autonomous vehicle, driverless technology was at the top of the hype curve. And then 2020 pandemic, I didn't track, and it was about social distancing, I believe. And Yash showed the 2021, and recently 2022 is the foundation model. So I'm very happy and pleasantly surprised that I start projecting and looking at whatever is the latest thing, because I have a formula in my mind, or I think I've kind of learned from my experience. So that's where I'm coming from, and I want to talk about it. The second point I want us to discuss today is when you, Yash, can you share the screen back on 2021 or 2022, doesn't matter. So I believe in 2019, we did a course at Business School of AI about digital twins in autonomous vehicles. So I was doing focused on IoT, then AI in IoT, and then autonomous vehicles. And I've been teaching that autonomous vehicles for a long time. So many of you are very fascinated about this. And I believe there's a comeback, and that technology is not gone, that business and opportunity is not gone. So we did one on, this is 2021, right? So
this is 2021 AI,
yes,
artificial intelligence thing.
Thank you. So if you see, there was a lot about AI, and this is when, at 2020, just before the pandemic hit, is when I launched this book on AIX, designing artificial intelligence. And in 2021, human-centered AI was picking up, and they said, hey, it's going to take much longer. They made, if it is black, then it is many more years. If it is blue dot, then it is like 3 to 5 years, I believe. And so this is 2021. So can you go back to the next one? So, no, the previous one, 2022. So we did one course on digital twins. And I've said this repeatedly, there are 3 digital twins in the autonomous vehicle. So for those of you who have taken my class or who have been through this before, can you tell me what the 3 digital twins are, or guess what those are? A digital twin is a digital replica of any physical asset. So it just collects all the sensor data and then recreates whatever it's the asset. So it could be a turbine. That's how GE came with this and said, we will create a digital twin of the turbine and be able to track the health of the turbine. So what are 3 digital twins in the car? Any takers, any guess? And nothing wrong. Nobody else is going to see this chat outside when I'm streaming. So let's see, we have people from Czech Republic, from Bangalore, from Atlanta, from Odisha, Bhubaneswar in India. Okay. what is, any guesses, guys? There are 3 digital twins in the car, and digital twin is actually connecting the things, whatever thing, and creating a digital replica out in the cloud. So inside the autonomous vehicle, the environment of the autonomous vehicle is one. There's a traffic simulator with my car model. Yes. So so one of them is the actual parts of the car. That's the easiest one, right? So there is all the different brakes and pads and how they are working. That is one. The other is about your driving behavior. So digital twin of a customer is where we are at the beginning stages to get out to go there. We had a speaker come and talk to us about cognitive digital twins that will take us there. So digital twin of you as a driver is the second one. Digital twin of the car itself as the parts of the car is the second. What do you think is the third? The third is the driving environment, the actual environment inside the vehicle. So that's a digital twin. So we did one on digital twin, how to build connected products and create a digital twin with Mr. Varga from Alexander Varga from Volvo. I believe in 2019, we did that course, and digital twin was kind of picking up on that. And then if you see in 2021, all the technologies on AI with machine learning and everything is kind of coming down, saying, okay, now it's gone past the hype and it's kind of getting to a mature place and it's not yet fallen off and it's kind of hanging there. We also did one on edge intelligence and edge AI. We did a bunch of courses. So I was actually thinking, okay, so we have 1 hour of weekly Wednesday with a speaker, and once a month I come and do a webinar of some kind. I don't do this town hall discussion as often. And then we have, I've been doing this Sudha Live, which is my live stream on Fridays, which is about opportunities in AI. How many of you are familiar? You can just do like a show of hand, it's fine. How many of you are here are aware of my Sudha Live, or you watch it or see it on? Okay. You can even do one of those thumbs up or reactions from Zoom if you don't want to be live, because many of you are.
Sudha Live from the YouTube, you mean, right? Or,
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, I see some hands go up. Okay. So I started that saying, when we are looking at all these technologies, how do we do something with it? So again, for those who are not in the loop on that, I'm just going to show the latest newsletter that actually was done by Yash here. So I collect content on the newsletter, which goes into my Sudha Live. I have a method to my madness, but Yash helped put this together beautifully. So you can see a format change was very nice. Thank you, Yash, for that. I want to make sure that you get your credit for that. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen on this. It's called bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. If you go there, you'll see the archive if you want. You can sign up or you can just bookmark and come see it. And this was, we had Women Equality Day. So she made this beautiful picture and she shared it. And my Sudha Live, she painstakingly got what I was talking about in each minute and has added the video. So that is one we do. So everything that I share in Sudha Live is about opportunities in AI. How do you benefit from this? Where are the jobs? And then our big project that has been going on is Global South in AI. And so there's a Slack group for that. So we had that. And I believe we had some courses. Oh, my new, my Stanford course on artificial intelligence bootcamp for product business managers is now live for registration. So there's a link to that. So the hard part that we keep on adding is jobs, and try to keep jobs from New Zealand and US and Europe and India and everything where we can get access to, right? So various different jobs. You have some reading recommendation. Yash has added a bunch of research stuff. Then I usually add events. This time I didn't have much events. So events, jobs, fellowships, all those things are opportunities. So they're very tactical, right? So you can say, oh, I can apply for this job. I can go attend this event. Oh, this looks interesting, I'll read. So you're staying on top of it. And we put in a lot of effort. So every Sunday, the newsletter goes out. Every Friday, I work towards that and present Sudha Live. And then we have the speaker that's hosted by Yash. And we are producing a lot of content. So that's why I wanted to take a pause and step back. So for those of you who are regulars here, first, I just want you to say yes or no. Do you find the Weekly Wednesday useful? Do you go back, look at the content afterwards if you missed it? And it's okay if you don't watch it, because I just want honest feedback. Because you can go to bit.ly/weeklywed event, I think, right? So Yash, bit.ly/weeklywed event, sign up and get access to the whole recording. And we have like 50 or hours of so per year, and I have it for 5 years. So that's like 250 hours of recording. So what we saw on the Gartner hype curve, if you want to go back and say IoT and Edge AI and digital twins, we have all that, right? So you can go back to that. So that is one content. And then the latest is the job stuff that is building up, I think, since April onwards. So in the chat, I'll appreciate if you tell me if you go back to any of this content, getting access to it, is it useful? Do you like the live aspect and engaging with the speaker? Is that where the learning happens? And where I'm going, so I want to pass that track. So there are two things, right? One is to understand what is the latest in the hype curve, even without looking at the hype curve. And the second is, what do you do? How do you capitalize on that to do something with it for your own life, your own careers? And so I want to ask people, for those of you, I see many of you who've been your regulars, right? So what motivates you? You seem to have want to learn the latest stuff. What is your reason to want to learn the latest stuff? Would you be happy if you just do a job that you're doing interesting things and stay on? Why do you take the time to come back to this or anywhere else to learn the latest in innovation? What is the top thing? Why do you do that? Yes, Damir, you can speak up.
I just want to say the reason I'm doing that, it's both personal and business. Let's say this way. I personally, I've been involved in the newest technologies for the last 10 years, so I don't want to lose the track. I don't want to be out of it, and not knowing what develops in the market or in the universities. Not everything comes from the commercial sector. It's spoiling the opportunity to develop something better than it was before. I mean, recently I saw the technology from 18th century, 18th, for medical IoT. Imagine that, from 18th century. I actually have an attachment in my PC, and nobody thought about developing that approach in 21st century. It just recently done, I think, 2-3 years ago. And if you're not following what's going on, you're totally out of it. I mean, you can, I don't want to insult anyone, but you can go back to cave if you want. And the second thing is, business-wise, is personally, my companies are working on developing the latest in the market. And if I'm not aware of what's going on, I'm going to develop the wrong thing. I'm going to have the wrong market. I'm gonna develop something that nobody wants.
That's very good. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, and what usually happens is there is so much happening. If you compare it by 30 years ago, developments were very slow. Something would happen every 5 years. Today, something happens on a 5-month basis. New things, new developments, new approaches. It's unbelievable time, and I personally find myself happy to live in this one. And I have no problem with development going so fast, because if I would imagine some learning curve, I would say what previously took 10 years to develop, now we can take less than a year and move our society much more forward than it took in 17th, 18th, or 19th century.
That's awesome.
That's my kind of.
Thank you, Damir. So, couple things in there. One, Damir says, things are moving very fast, and you will get dropped out of the game, is the word he said. So you become obsolete, your skills become obsolete from a job's perspective, and there's opportunity to do more useful things if you stay on top of innovation, right? So, and they also seem to come back. So the 18th century innovation has got a new digital life that he's talking about. There are things that come from anywhere. So one, if you're not in touch and aware of the latest thing, you become obsolete. And second, there's an opportunity. So it looks like an opportunity and a threat. So thank you for that. I'm going to read out some comments of people who have added here who are not speaking up. That's fine. One comment here is, we actually get to know about new technologies through casual conversations, speakers share learning. So that's useful. Yes, Weekly Wednesday is useful, a lot of learning of new things. So there's a recurring theme of learning new things and a community aspect to it, because you could be reading material and then that might not be the right thing, right? One of the things when I share reading material, I kind of sift through a lot of things. And I think a lot. If I share something, if it is an article written by somebody, it is written by a certain organization and they have a certain posturing of why they're writing that article. When I give you that, I'm kind of marketing for them in some way. I try to be very agnostic to all brands and not be biased and promote anything, because I'm trying to be very neutral here. Though I have personal opinions as I'm developing my learning and opinions on what is going to create innovation in the next 3 to 5 years. And so I would get attached to that and I will tell you about it. But when I share any other articles or reading material, it's important what you're reading, where you're getting your pointers from. Okay, so one is, that's the thing with technology industry, that it goes in a cycle, and what is hot today would just go drop off, and tomorrow it'll be gone, or something that was there 5 years back takes a new life and comes back. So if you are focused on a certain topic, say you took IoT course with me and I said AI and IoT is the big thing, and you start running with it, or you took autonomous vehicle course and I said, okay, connected vehicles and building digital twins is the big thing. You start working on it and you're passionate about it. What happens when the world is running and saying foundation models in NLP in a totally different dimension, or NFTs and metaverse and all these other things? How do you deal with it? What happens to the people who pegged on something that they were passionate about? So I honestly want to hear from you. If you are working on something that is not on top of the hype curve today, if you're not working on foundation models or metaverse and NFT, it's even better, because I want to hear from you. If you are working on something that you picked up from some years back and you're passionate and you're working on it, do you have to drop that and pick the latest thing to survive? Or can you do something about it? What is your take when you're sitting in industry, when you're sitting in a job and you're working on something that's not on the top of the hype curve? What happens to you? What is your thought process on that? So if you want to share, yes. So one comment is, this forum helps me know about new tech and also get tools for hands-on, so I can learn by doing. Okay. And this is Ananya. She's interested in the tech impact and medical IT. Ida is curious to know about what's happening in ALML related field, to learn from experts. And yeah, so one common thing is like-minded people. So that's the thing we try to do. That's why I want you all to chat and connect with each other. The other thing is I try to bring the latest in technology, bring speakers. So one of the things I try to do is we don't bring somebody who's just an expert in the field. We want the expert who can articulate, drive a discussion, be open, because all of you here have experience and you are working in industry. And so when you learn about something, you're going to say, what about this? And connect that back to what you know already. So thank you for the comments. I think I read all of them. Okay. So that validates at least what we are doing in Weekly Wednesdays is useful, and having a discussion with the speaker and, having this community to do that is good. So thank you guys. So we'll continue to do that on the latest in technologies that I bring. I'm happy to do that. The thing I want you to focus on is, if you are working on a technology from the past, which is 3 years back or 2 years back, I didn't see any answers on that. What happens if you're working on robotics? If you're building some robotic arm and we were looking at IoT and that's the greatest thing, or what happens if you're working on autonomous vehicle and it's not taken off and you're testing business models. So many people who worked with us, who were speakers on the AV stuff, have kind of gone to different jobs, different roles, and some of them are coming back. So my answer to that, unless somebody wants to comment or add anything, is
well, I can.
Yes.
Sudha, I'm working on the robotic shoulder and the arm. And for example, what happens here is, I would say from my personal perspective, robotics as example, it's much more developed for industrial use. And what I'm aiming is effectively bring robotics in every home. And I'm not talking about smart vacuum cleaner or something like that. I'm talking about real robotics. So if you can squeeze hookah by tenfold and get a robot that actually works in your garden or in your own home. The thing is that development requires a new line of production. It's non-existent. Nobody wants to deal with that because everyone sees big implementation just going towards industry directly. Nobody is thinking about us, people. I mean, we are 8 billion on this planet. So if I would be able to sell, hypothetically, let's say 1 million robotic arms to domestic users, that's a big shift in the industry. Suddenly, every home is equipped with the modern technology.
Yeah,
that's
not only shift in technology, but in the mindset as well. Sorry.
Yeah, Damir, I think that's a great point. No, that's a great point. So robot is still, very rust or crusty or very hard. It does not soft enough for, people to actually work with. And so there are models, to make these robots blend and work with people, I think. That is where a lot of innovation I see would happen in next few years. Right now, it is very rough is what my understanding is.
So Suresh works in robots. So Damir, maybe you can connect with him. So
looks
Damir,
like I'll have to.
Yeah, and Damir is really ahead of the game in Czech Republic and is a true entrepreneur and business person. So Suresh, hope something good will come out.
May I ask if possible, maybe Yash can after this meeting, at least for the participants, to share contacts so we know how to reach whom.
So
possible.
So if people give us permission, then we'll share. One of the things we swear by is, we have a mailing list of people who are regulars here. We don't share with each other. So if you want to be put in touch, Damir and Suresh, you want to be connected, we can do that. But otherwise, we would not share anybody's email. Even if I know 2 people, I just would not do that unless they explicitly want. Or you can share your LinkedIn's here. That's Yash's suggestion. Yeah. So let's do that. And for the Global South in AI, which is focused on foundation models and language AI, we've created a Slack group. In fact, I have a Slack group for us. It's not been active. If that people are interested, I can revive it back for all my student group. And then you can just connect with each other and have a chat and conversation and do stuff. So let me know if that's interesting, guys. Do you want to revive the chat? Yes or no? Okay. So coming back, so the discussion went on to robots. So I did not set it up, but this happened organically, right? I just said robot, and Damir said, hey, I'm working on robots and industrial robots and ARM. And then Suresh is the other person working on robots. In fact, Suresh introduced me to a whole new meetup about robots, the Homebrew Club. Suresh, what are they called now?
So it's called as Homebrew Robotics. God,
they came up with a new name. They came up with a new name.
What was the name?
Homebrew Robotics.
That one I have to see.
Homebrew Robotics was their original name, and then they started a whole new Zoom version of Meetup. Suresh invited me, and they meet once a month, and we're trying to learn. But the funny thing is, I went there thinking it's robotics and ARM and IoT stuff, and they were talking about GPT-3 and had a demo on GPT-3, getting the robot to talk or something like. So it was, and it's very hands-on kind of thing. So there's a lot of those things. And Suresh, let's share offline when we connect and find the latest name and links, and maybe we can share that. I'll share it in the live and the newsletter. So thank you. Sure. So this happened organically because one of the things I realized is, and I believe Emmanuel and the others here have been as part of that exercise, where just by listening to a speaker, having a conversation, it's great. You think, oh, I think what I know from my past industry, and I bring it and connect it, and then you go away. And so if you are working on robotics, if you are digital twins, if you're working on edge analytics, if you are working on autonomous vehicle, those are part of the latest hype curve. But the whole idea of the hype curve is it falls off, means you gets to a productive place or it dies, right? So if you're already working on something and you're passionate about it, my thing is you should continue to work on it, continue to innovate on it, and bring it to that productive place, because tech comes and takes cycles and some things come back. And so you should not just say, oh, foundation models and NLP is the new thing, I need to stop working on edge analytics, and say, oh my God, I don't have the skills for it. So if you become passionate about foundation models or NLP and you want to learn it, great, you can learn that too. And my personal experience over the years is I tend to connect a lot of things, and that makes it more interesting. So I would be working on IoT, and then when I looked at autonomous vehicle, I look at it as an IoT. And then since I worked on data, I look at the data in the car, and I have a course on value creation from data in the vehicle on Business School of AI. So that's how whatever we are used to working with and our experience base comes back. And Suresh tends to do that in all our classes and meetings. He will say, wait a minute, what about this? And he takes his experience and comes back. He speaks up about it. Most everybody also is thinking that's a way adult learners learn, right? We already have a reality of how things are done in the enterprise. What is the experience in creating a new pilot? How do you build new teams? And various different soft skills. And then whatever you worked on, a certain industry or a certain technology, and then you say, I see a parallel to this. Is it like that? And then you make the connection, and that's how you learn. And so by being exposed to a lot of things, it helps you. And then if you're passionate about one thing, you can continue to innovate and grow your career or do something for your companies or your cities and homes, whatnot. But that's how it works. And for me, since I have a data background, one of the things that happened in recent times is I look for the right and wrong ways of using data, because we did a lot of stuff with data in my past. And that got me into AI ethics when people like Susanna Raj and some others like Renee Cummings and people started talking about AI ethics. That got me to think about inclusive AI. So the one thing I would suggest is coming here to Weekly Wed and getting engaged is great. But I also would encourage you. So tell me, just say yes or no if it's useful to turn on our Slack back, and I will just open a Slack back. If that will be interesting for people, because you come from various different countries. I don't know. I found that there's no one particular tool that yes. people like. If it is useful.
I'm for yes. I'm for yes.
Okay. Definitely. So then I will open up the Slack back and I will give you guys access, and then you can figure out if you think it's useful. That's good. So the two things that has worked for me, one, so I started talking about the experiment I did with Emmanuel, and I kind of got off that train of thinking, so I want to come back to that. I find that if you collaborate with somebody else and do any project, and I know we are all busy, it feels like a lot of time, do something small. If you do any project, I think that way you learn. And then by collaborating with somebody, you will see a totally different dimension, because that's what happens in real work. So my method to madness and staying on top of this latest technology is always do something. If I'm just reading, I'm just going to read more. If I write, I'm just going to write my opinions, right? So I find that if I go build something, do something with it. And then I interact with a variety of people. So I go visit companies. I sometimes give talks. Sometimes I just go to listen. I attend a lot of events. That's why I share those with you. Then I kind of synthesize my thinking and I write and I put it out there. I share. but it's still writing and talking, right? I don't want to be just talking. So I like to build stuff because I've done product management. So I try to go build stuff. So that is where I would encourage you to find collaboration with each other, and see if somebody is working on something, can you contribute to that? And the other thing is, I have been doing research work. First, I think I did that with Ananya. We published a research paper on about the latest state of autonomous vehicles in Jairwa journal. And that was the first one I officially published. And recently I've been doing a bunch of research publications with Yash and Suresh. Mainly I'm working on some things with Susanna Raj on inclusive AI. But I've picked inclusive AI is something that works for me because I'm passionate about it. And it works for my data background. And I picked inclusive AI in autonomous vehicles because that is something that I'm passionate in the autonomous vehicle area. So I started with that. And then with the NLP and language AI and foundation models, as I started digging through that, I said, hey, there's no inclusiveness there. So what I would say is, the one is staying on top of whatever the latest. You pick what you're passionate about that adds to your skill, what you want to learn. Find a way to collaborate with each other here, at least for starters, to do some small project. And if you want to talk to me on like, how do I set a project? Where do I get started? This is the topic I'm working on. Every one of my students, I will always find time. That's my promise every time I do in my classes. And you know what? I have taught for more than 500 plus students now. And I never get to a place where like 500 students are calling me in a week and I'm overwhelmed. I never get to that place. And so put me through. I can take the challenge if you want to come. If you're listening to this and say, hey, I need to work on this, or I'm thinking about this, talk to me. I'll find time.
So can I book you to talk to you? We haven't talked for a long time.
We can do that. We can do a Zoom call, Damir. We can do that.
Okay, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
I learn
a lot. Yeah, I learn a lot about what's happening in your side of the world. I remember we did this. You did this for IoT Day. You ran a hackathon. Skyped in there. So I would love that. No problem.
Okay,
so,
we keep in touch. Okay, thank you.
And talk of, when I said we started out with IoT as the starting point, right? For me, at the top of the hype curve in 2015, I'm actually working on a new course for LinkedIn Learning. So I create the course and then I work with publishers from LinkedIn, and then they will put that course out on LinkedIn Learning. I have a new course on artificial intelligence in not connected vehicles. I always say in connected products. So it's AIoT. What I was saying that I started out with, I'm creating a new course. I don't know the date of when this will get published because we are kind of making that happen right now. So it's not like, that was 2015 and 7 years later, I'm working on the topic, and I've not lost complete continuity, but I go back to pick the latest. So I start doing those. For me, doing those courses motivates me to kind of build that. So I would suggest, pick projects or do projects that way. And there are things you can do in open source. And the other element, as I said, I'm doing the research papers. Initially, I used to think I'm not a professor at Stanford. I'm an instructor in continuing studies and talking to people like you, educating people who are already, working in industry. So I never thought of myself as, I'm an academics person, but I am. So I don't run to go publish research. That's what I was thinking. But the thing is, when I publish research, the beauty is it's about finding something that's a gap. That's a truth I find, and showing empirically that it's real, building on other people's work. There's a method to the madness. Yash had done a research 101 on Weekly Wednesday for people to get started. I find that for those of you who are learning something new, those of you who want to do some new projects by the side to just stay in touch with the latest, or even you want to say, you build this, but how do I show this? I have no project to show to do a career pivot. You can do research. And there are a lot of people in industry who do not do research, but they have the knowledge for it. So with Emmanuel and few others, we did a project. We tried to do some kind of labeling exercise, I believe, to add inclusiveness. We did one project. I've been working with some of my students here on research papers. So if there is interest on that, we can bring that research 101 topic back and teach you how to do that. Because with Global South in AI, what we are doing is we are calling people who are not in research. You could be in research, you could do no foundation models. Ananya, this is to your part we were talking about. That's the newest thing and you have to catch up. So if you're already in it, that's great. There are people who are going to come and submit models, right? And there are people who are not in it at all. They say, hey, I have this language called Singlish from Singapore, which is combining English with Singapore, and that's a real language that we use. Or there are people in India who speak Hindi, but they chat in English. Like there is a Hindi sentence that is written in English script, and it's called Hinglish. So there's a lot of things like that you're just using. You're not a researcher, you know to use that. That's not in AI language model. You want to bring it. And so you could say, hey, I want to bring it. I'm trying to figure out how to go do this, that. And you figure out if you're working on it, we are calling those people. And if they're not researchers, it doesn't matter. As long as they're passionate, they're working, collecting data, or figuring out somehow to create diversity of their language into the world. And we are going to host a session for all the people who have submitted. Once they get accepted by judges, that we will say, hey, we'll teach you how to build a research poster. So that's part of my Global South in AI.org. But I want to tell you guys here that those of you who are thinking about, hey, these are the latest in technologies that I'm working, one step I can collaborate with each other and build some project. I want to stay on the latest. I come to Weekly Wednesday. I keep learning and stay on top of it. But the third piece is to build research and in whatever. So if you're working on robotics, Damir and Suresh, you could go publish publish research on something you're seeing that's not yet published. So there's a method to the madness on figuring out what's already there. So you're not recreating the same thing. You should not be talking about something as if you just came up with it, because you could come up with something originally that has already been published, but you didn't see it. Innovation happens like that. The better thing would be if you say, hey, has somebody done this? Now what is missing? How can I do the next step to that? And that would be the way you build research. And there's a method to the madness on coming with a research hypothesis, how to set up experiments, how to prove it, how to create a poster, how to publish it, and how to submit for publishing, how to manage the review process. That's a whole thing. I have learned it, so I'm sure you can learn it, and we are ready to teach people. So show of hands, if this is interesting, we will bring the research 101 topic and teach you how to do that in the next few sessions. Maybe in the rest of the year, I'm thinking, what should we cover in Weekly Wednesdays? Looks like there's excitement on the latest foundation model I'm hearing. Chat with me if you have specific topics. You can even ping me whenever in the newsletter, in the invites that come to you, or in the chats as you're seeing any of this live, everything you can contact me or Yash and the Weekly Wednesday team, and we'll listen to you and we'll get you the latest speakers and topics on that. If there's interest in the research topic, then we will do a research 101 on how to get started with research for experienced people working in industry. Yeah, I see a comment. Let's see. So somebody saying your mom uses B English all the time to chat with me. It's amazing how we use the English language, the English letters. Yeah. So that could be something that you could post if you can collect enough of the data around that. So remember, Yananya, you were talking about building chatbots and learning that in the past. So you could actually say, okay, how do I collect data from this conversation my mom does? And how do we collect it? Is somebody already working on it? Go find out. Maybe there is somebody who's already done it. There's a data set for it. Then you can run that on one of the existing models. Or you can say, hey, here's my proposal, but you have to not just say, here's my idea, right? We want the research should be, I'm going to research this. This is a problem. This is my way of solving it. This is how I'm going to collect data. And this is where I'm stuck or I need help. That's okay. So if you want to talk offline, I'm happy to talk offline. So unless anybody has any burning question on this, I hope this was helpful. This was helpful for me to understand what is of value to you all. I appreciate that. So B English is Bengali plus English. I have not heard that. So, and Yash has the superpower of finding data sets. Any topic, anything you say, Yash will find out if there's a research paper on that. Yash will find out if there's a data set and give you the data set within minutes. And so Maybe Ananya, you can connect with Yash and see whether there's something published on B English, which is Bengali plus English. Otherwise, Ananya might have a project in her hand. Okay, so any last comments, questions? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up. Oh my God, Damir says a funny thing, his company, AIoT is his company name. Very interesting. So that's the newest project for the course that I'm working on, LinkedIn Learning. I actually have another course. Many of you have taken my no-code AI course. So learning no-code AI is the course that's already published in LinkedIn Learning from me. So my whole thing is you don't need to be learning coding. If you want to learn coding, it's great. But those of you who don't code, I will use no-code AI tools, teach you that in that course. I'll be using no-code AI to teach everything else that I'm teaching. So with that, I'm going to wrap up, guys. And thank you for this wonderful engagement. So looks like you want to bring newer topics from the hype curve and stuff. Keep continuing that, because Damir said you become obsolete. And that's one thing. If you think about technology industry's business model, we make ourselves obsolete, right? In technology industry, we are always saying, okay, what else can we do to make what we did yesterday better? And that means you have to give, in product management terms, it's called end of life for a product. So you already have a product, you come up with something better, and you get rid of the old product. It's called end of life. So you have to transition, and it's called end of life for that product. And companies sometimes didn't do that. There will be hanging products where they stop support, and then slowly they will kind of, say, okay, now we're not going to support this product. Or there will be new versions of the OS. What are the OS companies doing? New version of the operating system means they're getting rid of the older one and making it better. And so that's the way tech innovates, by making itself obsolete. It competes with itself. So it looks like each tech company is competing with each other, but that's not the thing. They're just competing with themselves to make themselves better. So this whole point that Tamit said about, you want to keep learning is a good thing, because you make yourself better like that, right? So what I knew 10 years from now, but the beauty is, as an adult learner, what you learn 10 years from now doesn't go away. You connect it back, and you might come up with a new way of solving a problem that is still stuck in the world today. Okay, so research, collaboration, come back to Weekly Wednesday. We'll bring you innovative speakers. That's my summary. Okay, and my promise is to help you if you have any suggestions, any questions on how you want to connect with each other or collaborate or find a collaborator. Happy to do that. And open up our Slack group, right? And back and share that. So anything else? Awesome. Shall I wrap up, guys? Awesome. Thank you, everybody. So with that, I'm going to close the live stream. Thank you for your fantastic discussion. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Sudha. It was wonderful.
Yes,
and I think we need more of this town hall every now and then.
Every now and then, yes. Thank you, Yash. So I'm going to stop the streaming. We will go back to the stream on LinkedIn and see whether there are questions, and I'll come back and comment, and I will share the Slack group link there.